Hello and good afternoon, everyone. We are so excited to start our webinar, Kidney Smart, right on time. My name is Brittany Hawthorne. I'm a wellness coordinator here at Florida Healthcare Plans. We also have Carla Cosillo as a co-host. But without further ado, I wanted to introduce our Kidney Smart webinar with Miss Pat Hopkins.
I'm Pat, and I'm with Kidney Smart. And Kidney Smart is a free, non-branded class available to everyone interested in learning and keeping their kidneys healthy. Um, what we want to do is give you some ideas of, everybody's looking towards taking care of your health in the future. And we wanted to give you some free information. We have classes all over town about how you can take better care of your kidneys because we're living in such a different environment today. 1 in 7 adults in the United States has chronic kidney disease. And a lot of the chronic kidney disease that we're seeing is because of a lot of the things of the way we're eating. So we wanted to talk about a few things with you and give you some ideas. So let's get to the next page. First of all, what do the kidneys do? Your kidneys are like having another set of brains. And the reason I say that is because they make all the decisions about everything that you eat and drink when it becomes dissolved, all the vitamins, the minerals, and the fluids. So when everything gets dissolved and it goes to your kidneys, they pick through everything and decide what to keep to nourish and hydrate you. So whatever they decide to keep to nourish and hydrate you, they send back to your body to be distributed all around your bloodstream system to all of your organs. And so that they get nourished and hydrated. And if there's any leftovers after they've made all of their distributions, they may clean your blood up a little bit and get rid of some extra things that are not needed. Okay, so that you will feel well. Okay, so that's kind of a big deal. So one of the things that we wanted people to realize is because they do that, we need to realize that we need to watch what we're eating and drinking. And I'm going to talk to you about why, because it's important information that people don't get until something happens. And we want you to know how you can take really good care of yourself. What happens when the kidneys stop working? So, what happens is we have our kidneys, they make all the decisions about everything that we eat and drink, and they send everything out where it needs to go. But also, if your kidneys are not working well, it's going to affect how you're feeling. And one of the things that we have learned along the way is when your kidneys are not working well, you can have a lot of things go on with your function. And a lot of people don't realize it. They just know that they don't feel well. When their function gets bad, sometimes they feel ill, nauseous, itchy, swelling, and having trouble breathing. And then all of a sudden they go to the hospital or the doctors and they find out, oh, their kidneys are not working well. So we're going to talk about that for a little bit. The causes of chronic kidney disease. The number one cause in the United States of people having kidney disease is type 2 diabetes. There's also type 1 diabetes, which is kind of an inherited thing, but we tend to see a lot more patients that have type 2 diabetes because their blood sugars are really high continually all the time because they're eating a lot of sugary sweets and drinks and foods and that kind of thing. And then it starts to become a problem. So if I have type 2 diabetes, I need to watch what I'm eating and drinking. If I don't, and my blood sugars are continually high, they're going to contribute to me having trouble with my kidney function. Okay. The number 2 cause in the United States is high blood pressure. When your blood pressure is high, your arteries get constricted. Just like if you were using a garden hose and you were out watering your tomato plants and your brother came along and stepped on the garden hose while you're watering the plants, and now you're maybe either getting a trickle of water coming out, then that's the same thing if your blood pressure is high and you're not taking blood pressure medication. You're not getting enough oxygen-rich blood flowing past your kidney filters, and they start withering, just like a plant not getting enough water. And eventually, it just ruins them. Okay. So when your blood pressure is high, your arteries are constricted. When you take your blood pressure medicine, it dilates your arteries wide open for a period of time until the next time you're due to take medication. This is why we encourage people to always take their medicines. If it says 3 times a day, take it 3 times a day. Try to take it the same time every day. It's really important. And people think it's not a big deal, but it is because what happens is when you take your blood pressure medicine, it dilates your arteries open. It's like going to the eye doctors and they put the drops in your eyes, and then for 2 hours, everything looks mega big. Okay. So, and then after the 2 hour time period, your eyes go back to normal. Okay. The high blood pressure dilates your arteries wide open. If you don't take your blood pressure medicine and your arteries are constricted, your heart is like a machine. It's still pumping and pushing the blood through your system. And what happens is it comes out the other end past the kidneys because it's going through narrowed areas because it's being pushed and shoved along the way. And it's blasting past your kidney filters like somebody turned a fire department hose on you. So it's ruining your filters over time. And once the damage is done, the damage is done. There is no recuperating from it. Same thing with the diabetes. That's why it's really important if you have high blood pressure to take what you need to take, go to your doctors regularly. And in between doctor visits, it never hurts to check your blood pressure at home. If you're somebody that only goes to a doctor quarterly, where some people go to more frequent appointments because they have other things going on, it never hurts to have the $20 blood pressure cuff at home and take a peek and make sure that your blood pressure medicine is working for you. Okay. You took it on time. In the morning, we know your pressure is going to be high, but during the day, it never hurts to do a check and say, is my medicine working for me? Because, we have to remember one thing. Sometimes medicines stop working for you, and we don't even realize it till something else goes on. So that's something, you kind of want to keep an eye on yourself because the whole goal of the whole thing is for you to stay healthy and do the things that you want to do. So, and your physician, they want to be your partner. This is things that you can be a partner with them for better care for you. But it's something that you really it makes a difference, and you may not feel anything, but eventually you will. So that's why we encourage everybody to make sure that you take care of it, because those are the two major causes in the United States of people having kidney failure and having to go on dialysis. Okay. Genetic disorders. Genetic disorders could be an inherited condition in the family, such as polycystic kidney disease. It's, excuse me, people get cysts on their kidneys and they grow and then they get more cysts and they don't realize it. It's something that runs in families. And these cysts over time, they grow more and larger and they literally sap the life out of your kidneys. It's never cancerous. They've been able to find no cure for it, and they don't know what causes it. It just runs in families. So it's important to know your family history also to take better care of yourself. Immune disorders could be lupus, scleroderma, those kinds of things. When people have certain disorders like that, it can affect your system. Okay. So that's another thing. IV contrast dye is another one. This may not seem like a big deal when you go get IV contrast dye. I don't think any of us could say we've never had IV contrast dye. We all have somewhere along the line. An IV contrast dye, they put that IV contrast dye in you. It's like a thick paste, but it lights you up so they can see and highlight if they're looking for something, if you're in the hospital for some reason, or being investigated for some kind of a medical problem. But IV contrast dye is very harmful to people if they have chronic kidney disease. And a lot of people don't know that they even have chronic kidney disease. Okay, that's why it's important that you be aware of things you can do to protect yourself. So that brings us to when we talk about labs. We're going to talk about labs and why they're important. Okay. So UTIs, urinary tract infections, people think it's no big deal. Oh, yeah. I usually get 2 or 3 of them a year, somebody might say, and I have blood in my urine, and then I take something for the pain and it goes away in a week or two or whatever. Well, if you're having a urinary tract infection, your kidneys are infected, they're inflamed. You could have kidney stones in there, or you could be infected for some other reason, but to not to let it go is to do damage, and you don't want to do that. So you want to take care of business. You don't want to become very, very ill and have a systemic infection. So that is a big deal. It's everybody gets them from now and again. So that's something also we would like to talk about. So we want to make sure that when we talk about, let's discuss high blood pressure and diabetes for a minute. Taking medications, know your numbers. Know your numbers. I don't mean know your lottery numbers. I mean know your numbers as in your blood pressure numbers. Where does your blood pressure usually run for you? Okay? So I know that if I have 120/80 with a pulse of 60, I'm pretty good. But I know if I get stressed out, my blood pressure goes up. Okay. So I know what's normal for me. Okay. And following up with the physician. This is very important. Everybody said, what am I going to the doctor for? So he can stare at me and I can stare at him? No, that's your opportunity to say, I have some questions about some things. They want to be your partner. They just don't want to look at you and say, okay, I'll see you in 6 months or a year or whatever. This is your opportunity to make sure you're giving yourself the best opportunity for your best health. Okay. Because everybody's out working and doing things. And we live in the vacation state. We have to keep up with the visitors. So you want to follow up with your physician and have dialogue with them. But I know people get in the physician's office and they get tongue-tied. So anytime you're going to a doctor, even for a checkup, that's your opportunity to say, okay, well, so how am I looking here? Because I've made some changes. And managing your weight through exercise and activity is a good thing. And I know people that work in different positions where you're out walking all day and you may be working in a factory type setting where you're really busy and you're getting plenty of exercise there and all those kinds of things. You're getting your exercise, but you still want, like, if you're off from work, you still want to keep yourself active and don't become a couch potato with the dog all weekend because you ran around all week managing boxes and moving things and all those kinds of things. You want to keep yourself moving because it's good for you. Okay. Nobody's saying you've got to jump in and go to Gold's Gym and go lift weights and all that kind of thing. But sitting all day with the Netflix remote, trying to decide what to watch is not exercise. Always keep yourself moving somewhat. Okay. You will feel better if you do. So we want to encourage people with the exercise because then everything's getting exercised. Okay. Diet. We live in an era where we're eating a lot of processed foods, whether they're fresh or frozen. And sodium and sugar are two of the big problems we have in the United States because salt takes and magnifies 1,000 times how good something tastes. So we've gotten hooked on the salt thing. If you ever looked and read the labels, you would be shocked at how much salt is in something that you're eating. But boy, it tastes so good. So then when somebody winds up in the hospital for some reason and they put it down a low sodium diet, your person that's in the hospital is complaining, bring me something from McDonald's because this food doesn't taste like anything. No, it's actually salted like it should be and not too much. And you just got used to being very high in sodium. Same thing with the sugar. What happened here? This doesn't taste like anything. These are the two biggest things we have that are really detrimental to what we have happening in America. And so, we're eating a lot more processed foods than we used to. Fresh, frozen food is one thing, and then you fix it up. But when you're eating something that's prepared, you're getting, read your labels and you'll see what you're getting. And you're going to be surprised and go, no wonder I think I missed something when I don't have something high in sodium or sugar. Okay. Potassium and phosphorus. Okay, that's the other two. These are the big four. You do not want to become overloaded with these minerals because if you become overloaded with these minerals continually, it starts chipping away at your kidney function because being overloaded is how it starts chipping away because it's just like you watered your plant too much in the office and now it's droopy and yellow and it was beautiful and green last week. You watered it. 5 other people came behind you and didn't think it had enough water and added water to the plant. Now it's all droopy and yellow. It's been overwatered. So potassium is another one. Potassium is another one. So people that continually have high potassiums can affect your function because it's continually floating around in your bloodstream with no place to go. And all this puts pressure on your kidneys. And that's how a lot of people wind up having troubles. Same thing with phosphorus. Phosphorus helps to form strong bones and teeth. Phosphorus is a naturally occurring mineral that hangs out with calcium. That's his girlfriend. So they kind of trot around everywhere and get into everything. So what a lot of people do not realize is that phosphorus extends the shelf life of other foods and products, and it's being added to what we are eating that is a prepared food. So what happens is the loaf of bread you bought from the store and you've had it sitting on your kitchen counter for 3 weeks still looks as good as the day you bought it, looks good, smells good, tastes good, toasts up right, and everything. However, unless the kids left the twisty tie off and the bread got stale. However, it's loaded with phosphorus. Okay. And phosphorus, if you become overloaded with phosphorus, can adversely affect you, especially if you're starting to have other health problems and your kidneys aren't so good. So people don't realize that we're having additives to our food. So if you go to Publix and you buy a loaf of bread that they made in their bakery and you brought it home, in 2 days, it's going to be stale because it doesn't have phosphorus added to it. Okay. So that's the difference. That's the difference. It's also added to things like detergent. You could go to Sam's Club and buy detergent off the shelf, and it's been sitting in the back and just got rotated to the front. It could have been sitting back there for 2 years, and now that whole line and whole pallet got brought to the front. And you brought the Gain detergent to wash your clothes with. You'll see where it says phosphatase or biophosphonates, which means it has phosphorus in it. And when you go to open it and use it, it looks like they just put it in the container yesterday. So it's added to a lot of things. So when we think we're eating something fresh that's been prepared, it may have had phosphorus added to it. So these are the big four that we are trying to help people understand that you want to watch what you're eating. If you're continually having a lot of sodium all the time, it's raising your blood pressure. Okay. If you're having an overload of potassium and you're having any kind of trouble with your function, okay, you're going to feel bad. Okay. And so these are the big four that we try to help people understand, especially because the way we're eating now, everything, people are doing some fresh cooking. People are buying some things out at like 7-Eleven or, McDonald's and all those kinds of things. I mean, you can get one Big Mac sandwich and it's got over 1,000 milligrams of sodium in a Big Mac. Holy mackerel. And then you're having a lot of other salty stuff the rest of the day. It's just raising your blood pressure. So we have some other things we would like to show you. So how to avoid or cut down sodium, what to do at home when cooking. There's several ways you can cook. You want to watch your sodium intake. just by limiting what you're putting in there. Sugar, you want to watch what you're doing with that. The potassium again, it's it's a learning experience. What's in what I'm eating? Really, it pays to look at what I'm eating. Everybody's so into going to gyms and doing different things. You really want to look into what you're eating, and it's so easy to find this information. And it's easy to cook meals at home sometimes rather than I could buy something from Sam's Club like chicken Alfredo, but I'm going to look and see what's in there because I want to watch what I'm eating and drinking. It's good to know what's in there. It's not that you can't have something, but moderation. And so people have kind of gotten addicted to some of this stuff, and then they don't realize that the buildup of it in your system, and when your body's not working, everybody assumes our bodies are working at 100% full tilt all the time, and they're not always working. And at restaurants and on the go, even getting something like a health, healthy heart healthy meal, it's going to be lower sodium, things like that. It's to your benefit. Okay. So we want you to look at food labels. If you can look at food labels, you can learn a lot about what's happening. Okay. And we just assume everything's going to be all right. And it's not because we're eating a lot of prepared foods, and a lot of these prepared foods have additives to them. You have no idea what's in them. Take a look and look at some of the things and then look it up on the internet and you're going to be shocked. Okay. We want to look at serving sizes. You want the sodium number to be less than a calorie number if you're buying something that's prepared. Sugars and carbs, check the sugar content to help manage your blood sugar. Potassium may be listed as a percent of daily value or check the ingredients. Okay. Phosphorus is not required to be listed so check the ingredients. It may be hidden as phosphate on a lot of things. If my kidneys are good and I don't have any trouble, why do I care? Because I don't want to become somebody with kidney trouble. We see a lot of people come into dialysis that have had really heavy eating habits with a lot of salt, a lot of sugar, overloaded on carbs, and your body sometimes can't handle everything that's going on, and people don't realize that. And because we're not eating a lot of fresh prepared foods like we used to, and there's different styles of eating. There's home cooking, easy cooking, grab and go, hardly at home. And we actually have a whole section of that in our Kidney Smart book for people that eat by 7-Eleven. Okay, somebody goes to 7-Eleven every day and gets the large Slurpee, and then they have the hot dog, and then they have the chips. Okay, figure what their intake is going to be. In salt alone, everything is very salty or very sweetened. So those are the kinds of things we're trying to encourage people to think about, because I don't know about you, but I don't know anybody that wants to be in the hospital, and I don't know anybody that wants to be in kidney failure either. So we're trying to encourage people to know what it is what you're eating. Your mother was right. You are what you eat. Okay. So simple changes. We have home cooking. Here's an example. And then we have a page for each one of these. Home cooking. You like to cook or someone else in your household does. Most of your meals come from recipes with fresh ingredients and may even be from scratch. Home cooking. Take a can of peas. Open that can of peas, and before you put them in the microwave to heat them to go with your dinner, take and dump the water out and rinse the peas twice. You just saved yourself a lot of salt because they were suspended in salt water. So you minimized your exposure to the peas being in salt water. Salt water is a preservative. That right there is going to save you a lot of problems. So that's one of the things, So, and then there's people that do a lot of easy cooking, and they want to do, some frozen meals, the microwave and things like that. That's fine, but read your labels and see what's on there, and hardly at home. You think of your favorite restaurants, and fast food and casual dining are typical. Let someone else cook the perfect meal. All you want to do is be a smart consumer and look at the labels and say, holy mackerel, I can't believe there's this much salt in my Big Mac. Okay. So we have all this information in our books. So we have a food reference list. Here's a typical food. We have like 4 pages of food reference list. Here's one for high sodium foods. This is included in part of the book so that you can make better choices on salts, high sodium food and vegetables, low sodium foods and vegetables. So we're trying to make it easy for people to help make better choices. So those are things that we have available as well for you. Okay. So that's just a little slice of what we got. There's my number. I have classes. You get the free booklet. It's got everything like you just saw in it, and it costs you nothing. I have classes all around town, and I can make them convenient as a one-on-one because I know people are working. So, Brittany, I'm going to turn this over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Pat.
You're quite welcome.
Uh, the book is available to you. Just let us know via email us at wellness@fhcp.com if you are interested in the book, and we can get a book to you. So definitely see the request for the book. Just make sure you email us so that we can follow up on that. Pat, we have a question about alcohol. So, does alcohol affect our kidneys? Is it bad for our kidneys? Can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, alcohol is like everything else. What are the contents of it? You know, some alcoholic drinks tend to be more sugary, and some of them tend to be more tart. It depends on what the ingredients are. But just like anything else, anything that's done and it's not done in moderation could adversely affect you. So, but that's actually something you could look up. What is in the ingredients in the alcoholic drink that I like? And they'll tell you, how much sugar, sodium, and all those things are that's in it.
Awesome. Thank you. We also have another question about the specific numbers of grams or micrograms for the contents of the sodium, phosphorus, and potassium. Is there like a threshold that we should be looking for?
Well, the whole thing with that is there's nothing specific, but we can tell you, and we can also direct you to a website where you can check and know what's exactly in what you're eating. How much sodium is in my hot dog from 7-Eleven? Okay, you can research that online and actually find out what's in something to eat. That's going to help you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And we have all this information in our book and all the websites that are available that you can go to, and it's all free information.
Perfect. And in the book, does it show how many, like, our daily intake that we should be taking? I guess
No, because your intake and my intake and my medical conditions and somebody else's our intakes are all different. But you can get the information because somebody else might have medical conditions and they're dieting and all those kinds of things. So, but we can give you the sites that you can go to where you can get all of this information. And that's part of our program.
Awesome. Does overhydrating damage your kidneys at all? Drinking too much water or liquids?
Well, overhydrating is something that have you ever seen or heard of cases of people overhydrating? Usually people don't drink enough in Florida because it's hot. But then there's other people that go to the extreme and it can actually be a life-threatening thing. So it's about common sense, not overhydrating yourself to the point where you're just literally drowning with water. But, a lot of people tend to go the other direction.
Yeah.
You can overdo anything. It's like overdoing drinking.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we are 1 minute over. You guys had great questions, and thank you so much for attending our webinar today. Thank you, Pat, for being our expert on our kidney health and being kidney smart, making us all kidney smart. We appreciate you all, and thank you. We'll see you very soon.
Thank you for the opportunity. Have a great day.